Hi everybody, it's Sandy here. Happy whatever day it is for you. I just wanted to show you a quick and simple recipe for mulnaengmyeon. And mulnaengmyeon is basically cold noodles, and they're made with buckwheat noodles as well. And they're very nutritious, and the broth that it's made from is very good on your digestive system. And it includes pears and eggs and a whole bunch of other goodies that I'd like to show you. It's super easy. So if you have a Korean market that's close to you, that's great. But not everybody has access to that. So you may be able to find some of these things at a broader Asian market. However, be aware that during these times, don't try to go finding it everywhere. Try to keep your travel to a minimum. And if you can have things delivered, do so. My Korean market that is close to my house actually delivers. And so this was kind of an easy thing for me to do. So very simple ingredients, very quick to do, and I'll tell you about the health benefits as well later on. However, it's very comforting because I used to eat these noodles on a hot summer day, or when I just needed some comfort food from my mother's side, which is Korea. And a lot of really good food there, and I'm hoping to share a whole bunch with you. So some of the basic ingredients that you need are basically it's this, which you'll find in the Korean market, and it says naengmyeon, and they're individually frozen blocks of buckwheat noodles. So you only need to take one, and that is considered one serving. So basically these cook really, really fast. You just put them into boiling water for a few minutes and then they're ready. And then you put them through the sifter or the colander and you drain them and they're ready to serve, okay? So don't worry about the Korean instructions on the back because unless you read Korean, it doesn't make any sense. So just keep them frozen. There's blocks in there that you can take out individually, and then you put them in a boiling pot of water and cook them for 2 to 3 minutes and then drain them as well. And then make sure that you end with draining them with cold water. The next thing you need to have is the broth. The broth is very important, and it varies on the company, it varies on the restaurant. When I was in Korea, some people made it homemade, and broth is what makes soup, right? The broth is what makes anything delicious. So, but at the Korean store, you can get them also individually wrapped, and it looks like this. And it basically says naengmyeon yuksu. Yuksu means kind of like broth or a soup. So they come with individualized packets in there, okay? So this is not to be cooked because it's mulnaengmyeon, which is cold noodles. So you want this to be very cold. You could even freeze it and then thaw it out later, but make sure that it's super, super cold, okay? Because you'll benefit from the taste of it. After the noodles are done, you just pour the individualized packets of the broth into the bowl, and that's mostly what you have to do. And the other thing that you need to have is a couple of hard-boiled eggs. I don't need to show you a picture of an egg, but here it is. Eggs. So I like 2 eggs. I love eggs. And so you would hard-boil a couple of eggs, and you would slice them in half and then place them very nicely on top to make a very nice presentation. And it tastes really delicious. The other thing that you need is a cucumber. We all are familiar with cucumbers, okay? It doesn't really matter what kind of cucumber. I try to peel the skin so that they're very soft because it's all about texture in this dish. And when you mix the chewy buckwheat noodles with the cold broth and the ice and the pears and the turnip and the radish slices and the egg, you want to be able to crunch into some cucumbers without having to chew on the skin of the cucumber. And I'll explain that later. Also, if it's accessible to you, Asian pears, this is huge. They don't look like the normal pears that we have, but these are found in Asian markets, and they are a little bit pricey, but they are so good. They're so delicious. And so what I do with this is I thinly slice them, and I also use them in the noodles as well. And I'll show you the presentation later, but when you mix everything up, it tastes so amazing. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the taste. And then the other thing that I was able to find at the market was sliced and pickled radishes, and these are the white ones. They had wasabi flavor ones, but I just chose the white ones, okay? And so we'll put this in as well. You're gonna wanna drain them. Don't use the juice that's in them. You're gonna want to drain the radishes individually, okay? And then I don't need to show you ice, but here's ice. And I also have cubed ice. I don't have one of those refrigerators that comes out with like the crumbled ice. So I actually had to put it in a bag and kind of crumble it. So whatever is your method, just do that, okay? So this is an amazing noodle recipe because you've got the buckwheat noodle. The buckwheat is so beneficial to your health. It's so easy on your digestive system, and it gives you so many minerals and vitamins. The egg, of course, is very good for you. If you'd like, you could take the yolk out, but I always like to keep everything within the egg, okay? The egg delivers a whole bunch of omegas. If you can grab a hold of the ones that are omega extra, okay? Because not everything that is an egg is an omega egg. It has to be depending on what the chickens are eating, okay? So it's usually grains. The cucumbers, very alkaline for your stomach. I have a lot of stomach issues, so this is a good recipe for me. The pear is also very alkaline as a fruit, and it has a lot of beneficial minerals and supplements there as well. And then for the broth has always been known to be very delicious and beneficial to your health. Broth is good for the digestive system. It has been studied that broth can actually help heal your stomach lining, and it delivers very, very heavy, concentrated amounts of minerals and nutrients in the amount that you take in. So it depends on what the broth is, where you get it, who made it. But in general, broth is very good. And ice, of course, okay? So all of these things together, so you're chewing on very chewy noodles, and then you're tasting the salty broth, and then you're biting into crispy pickled radishes that are a little bit sour, and then you're biting into refreshing alkaline cucumbers, and then you're biting into the soft flavor of the eggs, which give you protein, and then you're crunching on a little bit of ice, which makes you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. All of these things together, and then the pear is just amazing because it adds a little bit of sweetness to everything. Some people like to put mustard sauce in it. I don't have a recipe for it because I don't like the mustard sauce. So if you want to check it out somewhere else. But it's just such a beautiful collage of taste, textures, and flavors. And it's all very nutritious for you. And so basically, I don't need to show you every step of the way. Everybody cooks. So bang out your ice, slice unpeeled the Asian pear very, very, very thinly. Peel and slice into thin strips of cucumber. Drain and keep these are already pre-sliced. So drain these radishes if you can find them. If not, that's okay. And then you're going to hard boil the egg. I mean, you don't need to see it, but here's an egg. You can hard boil an egg and cut it in half. You're going to boil for a few minutes the frozen individualized packets of the buckwheat noodles. And then you're going to not boil, but you're going to serve on top of everything that's ready, the cold packets of broth, okay? And then I will show you the end result. And it looks so beautiful and it tastes amazing. So I'm hopefully going to be able to show you a couple of other recipes throughout the next couple of months of the things that I really enjoy. And you don't have to be a hardcore Korean or even a hardcore cook to know how to make all of these things. If you have access to a Korean market or an Asian market, you can find most of these things. If not, go online. I found so many things that I was looking for online as well, and nowadays it's good to have things delivered, okay? But I hope you enjoy this recipe, and it sounds really weird to have all of these tastes and textures put together, but I will assure you that this is going to be so yummy and so good for your belly that you're gonna want to have more. Thank you, and I'll show you the best, flavorful, textureful cold noodle recipe out there. All right, guys, talk to you very soon, and wait for this picture.